All right, if you're ready to get started, I am too. I'm going to take a little bit. Here's my palette. It's a complete mess, I know. That's just how it is sometimes. If you paint a lot, that's what happens. Let me get some of this off my brush. I really don't want it. I'm just trying to wipe some of this off. I got too much stuff on here. I want to start back here behind my mountains, and I'm going to use a 1-inch brush. And the reason is because I don't want to get too much of this liquid white into my mountains. I don't use liquid white normally because this is a teaching channel, supposedly, and I'm trying to teach people how to get the paint to break on their mountains, because a lot of people have trouble with it. And I know I've said this a million times. Some of you that's watched my videos before, you've probably heard me say this over and over and over, but I kind of have to because we have new subscribers. But if you have trouble getting your paint to break on the mountains, don't put liquid white on there. That's 99% of the problem. I mean, if you have an issue with it, with getting your paint to break, don't use it. Not on your mountains. I got it up here and I got some down here. I mean, I love liquid white, man. I mean, it's good stuff. I use it all the time. I use it in every painting practically. I use it on my mountains sometimes. But here lately I've been doing mountain paintings and not using it because I'm just trying to make a point and help you out. If you paint at home, if you don't paint at home, it don't make no difference to you. But if you do, that's the issue right there. You just don't put it on there. Your paint will break so much easier. I mean, you'll really do yourself a favor by not using it. But I do like it. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you about it. It's good stuff. I want a little darker up here around the top. I almost made a yellow sky. Almost. Man, I had it in my hands. And I thought, I chickened out. I made a painting not long ago. It was called Indian Mountain Painting, and I used Indian yellow. And I think it turned out pretty good, but I really like this composition that I have here today, and I just didn't really want to take a chance. Let me get me a different brush here. Take a chance on boo-booing. So we're just going to blend this up a little bit. Let me set my palette down. Wipe my brush down a little bit. We're probably not going to have any clouds in the sky. I don't really worry about that a lot of times because I think you could make your skies plenty good enough without them. I do put clouds in them sometimes, but I mean, you know, I don't concern myself too much with it. I don't want to make any big fancy clouds because it's too difficult for a lot of people to do that. Just your basic cloud, just take a fan brush, swirl it. I'm sure you've seen that before. Swirl them in, fluff them up, go across. But it just don't matter to me. I mean, I think it's like this sky right here, to me, that's perfectly fine. I'm happy with this. I got a little action going on, and to me, that's good. Let me make sure. Yeah, I really like, if we can get this composition to turn out the way I have it in my mind, I mean, I think it'll be a nice looking painting. That's what we're going to shoot for today. So let's go ahead and let's start on our mountains. This one's the furthest back. This is in the middle, and this is up front. I got 3 different piles of mountain color. I got a real dark one, medium one, and I think this is a little bit lighter than that. And that's what we're gonna say it is anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start here in the back, and we're just gonna form us out a little mountain. So this one's further back. And when you don't use liquid white on your mountain, you do have to scrape it. It's not going to blend. without the liquid. It's not going to blend as easy without the liquid white. You'll have to work with it a little bit. Push it into the fabric real good. But yeah, I had an issue with that when I started too. I'd see these guys on there with their liquid white all over it, man, and they'd just be flying, making that paint break. And then I started trying to do it, you know, years ago. I started trying to do it and get all frustrated, and I couldn't do it. And I just kept experimenting around. To finally one day I thought, you know, I'm just going to paint them dry and see what happens. That was the trick. That was it. Like I said, the only thing is you have to work with it a little bit here at the bottom. But that's fine right here. But if you have trouble, that's the answer. That's 99% of it right there. Just don't put liquid white on your mountains, and you'll have beautiful looking mountains. I mean, try it a few times. It'll take you some practice, but just try it and see. Okay, we're going to go for the middle one now. We're going to use the middle collar. And see, I got a hill coming down right here. So we're going to start right here, come up, work our way over. Come up right here, make a nice little peak. I like tall, jagged mountains for some reason. I noticed that all my mountains are always tall and jagged. So apparently I like tall, jagged mountains. We're going to come over, come down. And I do. I think they look pretty majestic looking. To me it looks like there's a lot of action going on. Whether there is or not, it seems to me like there is when they're tall and jagged and wild looking. But you got to put a little bit more paint on here, which don't bother me in the slightest. I always paint on a dry canvas anyway, 99% of the time. I just like painting on, I mean, that's just how I learn. That's just, everybody's different. That's fine. Ain't nothing wrong with being different. Having opinions, and nothing wrong with that. But I do use liquid white all the time. Like I said, it's good stuff, man. I mean, it'll blend your colors together. Good stuff. Just not on the mountains for me. And we're going to go ahead and get this one in the front. And the reason we're making these different colors, if you're new to painting, is because of distance. The further away something is, the lighter in color. As it comes closer, it gets darker. Just like this one will be. This is a doozy of a mountain here, man. This is a whopper. This is an absolute whopper. I may have to, let me start down here and work my way up. This is an 18 by 24 canvas, by the way. And these collars, all this is black, Prussian blue, alizarin crimson. And for the lighter ones, I just separated two more piles and put some white in it. And it made it a little lighter. Yeah, this is a doozy here. You still got to scrape the excess paint off that. That's okay. I'm just going to move it over. We'll use it in this area. Do just a little more. fill that in. It's starting to kind of look kind of funny there, didn't it? See some here. I don't like how that looks. Let's bring this on down. Sometimes you got to change them up a little bit. That started looking a little weird. Look like a mute or a camel or something. I know camels usually don't have 3 humps, but looks like a 3-hump camel. That looks much better there. You got to adjust with your painting. So I said I make marks on here, but they're just guidelines. You don't have to follow them. You can change anything you want. That's probably enough. Set this down. Set my knife down. Let's go ahead and start pulling some of this. And you can see my lines. I don't need to come down much further than where I'm at. I don't believe. Yeah, I think we got plenty of paint on here. Wipe some of this off as I'm going along. Yeah, I always paint on dry canvases typically. I like doing it that way really, because a big problem with oil painting is it stays wet so long. When you start caking wet paint on wet paint, man, you wind up with a mess if you ain't careful. I mean, you could take shop towels and lay on here, and I do that sometimes if I want to finish something. Other times I'll let a painting sit around for a day or two, let it dry up a little bit. I got one now drying up. It's 2 days old. I mean, I don't want it to go much longer than 2 days. 2 days is about the limit. But I mean, there's ways you can get around things. All right, now highlight time. I am going to get some white. I'll probably make me a pile here, and I'm going to take a smidge of brown. Hold this up so you can see it, maybe a little bit more. And I'm doing that to dull the color down a little bit. I'm going to start on the back mountain. It's going to be less vibrant than the front mountain. So we're going to start back in here. With the light brown we have. I got something black on my knife. It wouldn't be good, would it? Just a little bit more. I think this might be enough for that one. I'm gonna pull down a little bit more white. I had some white right above this brown. I may stick all that white in there. And we're going to go for the middle mountain. Get your oil paint, like they say. And we're just going to work our way down. Start up here. And you do barely hold the knife. I mean, that is true. Just barely put any pressure on it. I held it so light the other day it practically fell out of my hand. That's a little too light, isn't it? That's too light when it falls out of your hand. Let me wipe it off. I'm picking up a little blue under there. Just barely touching it. I think I'm coming down. I think this is probably plenty far enough right in there. So I got a few pine trees sticking up right there. Let me stand back and take a peek. That don't look too bad. Let me set this down a second. Wipe off my knife real good. Okay, now this last one, we're going to do pure white, and this is a doozy. This is a doozy. Let me pull my painting out just a little bit. Here. This is a doozy of a mountain right here. I'm going to hit this edge first. Make sure I cover up that edge real good right there. All the way down. And take your time. That's another thing. Take your time. You don't have to rush. Especially if you're at home doing this, man. If you rush, you're rushing yourself, because just don't rush. No point in getting in a rush. Let me pull out a little bit more here. This right here looks like it definitely needs some right up in there. Just keep working on this till we get it the way we want it here. Just keep wiping your knife off, because you're going to pick up some stuff. I mean what's underneath. That's what you're picking up. All this dark. And always have you some paper towels, man. They're handy. Pull out some more white. I think I'm going to bring this on over here. Let's see, step back and see how she's looking. I think so far it's fine. Step back. You have to stand back from your paintings also. If you ever wonder why people do it, because when you're standing up close, you can't really. 6 feet is a good distance. I just step back like this, and you can see a pretty good amount. I think that's probably okay right there. We're going to have a few pine trees sticking up here. That'll cover the bottom of this. So I think we're all right. Now, for that color back there, for the shadow part, I'm going to mix some white up with this previous color that I had. Let's see what happens with that. Let's see if it's too light, too dark. Sometimes you got to adjust. Yeah, I think that's probably okay right there. I think you could see that at home. My problem is I just want to make sure you can see it. I mean, I can see it. I'm standing right here, but I don't want you to be able to see it. Just bring it on down. At least I hope you can see that's kind of light or kind of dark still, and it kind of blends in. Let me put a little more white in that. And hopefully you can see that. Okay, this next color, let's see. That might be too light. I'm just using the same mountain color. I'm just mixing it together. That way everything's kind of tied in together. Let's see, I think you can see this, I think. Maybe it needs to be a little lighter. Standing back looking, making sure it's light enough. I do have a smaller knife that I can pull out and use. Let me run a little bit of dark over that. I like my mountains to look as good as they can. Okay. Now let's do the big one. Let's see how light or dark this is. See, that's what I do. I'll just touch it and adjust it, whatever I think it needs. If I think it needs to be lighter, darker, whatever the case is. And I'm kind of touching it and pulling it, because if you don't have liquid white on here, it kind of pulls right off your knife. And that's kind of what I'm doing. Let's see how this looks down in here. What I'm going to do now, to be honest with you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some color down here, maybe put some color in my water, and I'm going to let this painting sit for about a day or two, because I got to put pine, and that's the easiest way to do it, because I do 2 and 3 paintings at a time. While this one's drying, I can work on another one. And that way when I put some pine trees on here, it's not going to mix with this. I'm just going to leave that be right there. So let me find me a brush, and that's how I do stuff a lot of times. That may sound crazy, but that's just how I do stuff sometimes. I do have a little bit somewhat of a picture that an idea right down here beside of me. And I'm going to go ahead and just put some color in, and then I'm going to probably take my 1-inch brush and mix it all up. I have certain colors that I want in certain spots. And this is why I use a little brush to start with, because I like to mix my colors up. Of course, it's going to be dark as it comes toward us. And this is real dark down here. Yeah, I always I put them on with this and take my 1-inch brush and scrub it in, so I have nice varied colors. That's just how I do it. You know, everybody does things different. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with doing things differently, as long as you have a good result in the end. This is dark here. It's dark brown, actually. in this area. I have some colors left over I got to use up anyway, so it's a good way to do it. It's pretty dark there. Here's some darker color. This is not black, this is raw umber. Yes, raw umber. I got to use it up somewhere. This is a good spot. So that's what I'm going to do. Then I'll take my 1-inch brush here in a second. Let me get a little bit more right up in this area. I don't think that's enough. I don't think that is quite enough. All right, let me get my 1-inch brush. Let's see what I had mountain color on this one, so this might be okay. That way I don't dirty up a bunch of stuff. I am going to wipe it off a little bit though. Don't want to touch it and have a crazy result now, do we? Let's see what we come up with here. See, that's fine. This is what I want. I want colors mixing. That's just about perfect. It's got a little green in it. And a little brown. This is pretty much perfect. Luckily, because of my brush. My brush is already dirty with mountain colors. Got green and blue, and that's perfect. I hope I'm not in your way here, but I want to get it closer to the water line. And before I get into that real dark, I'm going to go ahead and come on up here. I don't have to get into the mountains because there's some trees right there. Probably along through there also. This might come down. I'll probably have to take my other brush and finesse that a little bit. Smaller brush. Let me get to the water line here. And I'll get here in the dark. Yeah, I like to mix my colors up, and that's how I do it. Said everybody does something different, but that's the end result is what counts. Hopefully this has a good end result. Yeah, I almost made my sky yellow. Almost. Yellow with some yellow ochre in it. Maybe some Indian yellow. I almost did it. And I just couldn't do it because I like this this layout. And I thought, man, don't take a chance. Don't take a chance right now. I do take chances. I put some wild colors in my painting sometimes that nobody else would do. Well, somebody would. But see, look at that mix of color. That's beautiful to me. I think that's beautiful. That's a good starting base right there. Good starting point for a hill. And that's what that is. I like that. So I'm just probably going to let this sit around. I'll go ahead and put some water in here. I probably should have done start with, but that's okay. No big deal. My brush is filthy already, so that's okay. It's going to be a little lighter up here. It's going to get a little darker. I think this might even be hidden, this area here. Make it a little darker. This is mountain color. I'm fitting in here, only because it's laying there. And that way I don't waste it. I'm pretty sure this is not going to be seen right here. But just in case, I'm putting it there anyway. All right, I'm gonna let this sit for about 2 days, and then I'll come back when this dries a little bit. I'll come back and we'll start on it again. All right, I just want to show you what I'm doing here. I just put some background stuff here around the base of the mountain. Now I got this little baby brush, little baby fan brush here. I'll go ahead and hold this so I don't have to lean down. But all I'm doing is I'm gonna put a row of pine trees all up the hill, and I'm gonna put probably a row in front of that, and then I'll put some sporadic around here and there and everywhere. But I just want to show you what I'm doing here, because this is kind of slow and I can't really show you the entire video because this is going to take several hours. So, but I want to keep you up on what I am doing. I'm just putting in little pine trees is all I'm doing. It's kind of a slow process, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, you got to do it. You got to do it. Yeah, I got this little, I bought some new fan brushes. I don't like to buy them. I like to buy one at a time, but I can't find them that way because I don't want a whole package, but I have to buy a whole package, and they sent this little baby fan brush with it. I usually don't use them this small, but I wanted to try it out and see how it works. It's okay, I guess. It's okay, I guess. That's about all I can say about it. It's a baby, that's for sure. But if I can get this composition the way I want it, I think you'll like this painting here. You know, what you see in your head sometimes is not how it always turns out. Even though I do have a picture to look at today, somewhat of a picture. I won't follow it to the T, I rarely ever do. But I just want to show you what I'm doing. I'll keep doing this because this is kind of boring. And then I'll bring you back. I want to show you what I'm doing now. I went ahead and put some highlight on these pine trees. If you've never seen me do that before, I got more to put in and I'll show you. But what I'm doing here is I'm putting in this grass is brownish looking, and that's the way it is in the picture. It really don't go all the way around here, but I'm gonna put it in anyway because I don't follow the pictures all the time like I should maybe. I don't know. Sometimes I'll put things in, sometimes I'll take things out. But I kind of like this grass, and I think I may just, actually there's a picture of a big rock right here. I may put it in, I may not. But I like how this is looking. And this is a brown, which is burnt umber, and yellow ochre. I'm just going to bring this on around because I kind of like it. And I just want to catch up on what I'm doing. As I said, I can't show you the whole video, it'd just take way too long. But I'm going to show you what I think is important. If you want to follow along at home. Or, you know, if you just want to watch the video, that's great. I like watching painting videos. Got a big clump on the back of that thing. Got to get off there where it does something bad. Yeah, I kind of like how this looks. Should be a little darker in the front here anyway. Cover that up. I may run it on up through here because I do like this. It's tearing my fan brush up, but that's okay. I know where they sell them at. that's not a problem. We need to get one, we'll just go get one, won't we? But anyways, I just wanted to show you what I'm doing here. I thought this looked pretty decent. And I'm pretty sure this won't be seen right here. I don't even know why I'm going this far really, but alright, I'll bring you back here in a minute. Alright, we're going to go ahead and highlight. I put some more pine trees in here. We're going to go ahead and highlight it because I said I'd bring you back and let you see. Just in case. And I always set my palette down when I do this because I kind of got to be steady. If you know what I mean. But I just touch on the right side of these pine trees. Actually, let me pick this up. I think. Yeah, I think I can do it for a few minutes. Because you got to constantly wipe your brush off, and that's usually why I set my palette down. But I just highlight the right side of these trees, and it really pulls them out, and I really like how it looks. And as I've said before, you know, everybody does things different. That's fine. There's not a set rule when it comes to painting. Whatever you like, whatever makes you happy, that's what you should do. I mean, that's just the way I see things. If you think something looks good, go for it. And I do. I think this looks really nice, in my opinion. I always like to say that. Throw that out there. It really defines the trees where they're at, for one thing, because you can't see them against this dark mountain right here. Very difficult to see, but if you do this, you can see them a lot better. And I do this anyway. I'll just bring this on down here. I'll get this next one here, and then I'll move to something else probably. Let's start right here. Remember, the sun's coming down this way. That's critical to remember that. You gotta always know the direction of your sun, of the light. I'll say that, light. It don't have to necessarily be sun, but it needs to be you need to know the direction of the light at all times. Because if you don't, you're gonna do something really bad, like put a shadow on the wrong side of the tree or something like that. So these trees need shadows too, and they're going to go on the left side because the sun is coming down from the upper right. You always got to remember that's critical. Critical that you remember if you're trying to learn to paint, it is. Okay, I'll go ahead and work on a few of these little ones here. Since they don't really require a whole bunch. Because these trees are really wet. You got to put quite a bit of this on your brush. And that's why you got to keep wiping it off. I mean, I got a fresh pile. I just put it out just for this purpose. Because you got to have a clean pile of yellow. Cad yellow light. Because these trees are wet. Oil paint will do that. But I loved oil paint. That's what I started with, and that's what I like doing. I keep saying I'm going to do some acrylic paintings. But I'll be quite honest with you, I've probably done a handful, when I say a handful, 5 or less in my life of acrylic paintings. I use acrylic as a base sometimes before I put oil on it. I have a few videos, and I do that. But I might try to do an acrylic painting and use the same style that I'm using now and see what happens. Just for an experiment. And I might do it while you guys are watching just for an experiment. Okay, I'll move on to something else. All right, so now we're gonna really do something nuts. I'm gonna put a big, huge, dead tree in my painting. I got some black and some brown. See, I do have a picture that's, like I said, I don't follow it exactly, but I do like this big dead tree. Let's see here, where do we want it? It might run right through the old mountain there. Oh, let's start right here. I mean, it's a doozy. Big dead tree. Let's see here. Shape it a little bit. It's a pretty good size one. Black and brown. It's a little thick going, a little stiff going through that mountain area there. Black and brown. I don't know how long this tree's been dead, but it's been dead for a little while. Been dead for a little bit. Let me take a look here. We need to shape this side a little bit. Make sure we got it wide enough down here. Man, I like it. I know that sounds crazy. I still might put a rock in here. Matter of fact, oh, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and put a double rock in. Well, not a double rock. Well, I guess it would be a double rock. I'm going to probably use more brown this time. This rock will be dark anyway. Put a rock there. And look. Oh, let's put one right here too. Let's put us a rock right here. Don't have to be a big rock. Maybe another one. Maybe another one here. It don't look too bad. I'm still going to need something there, a bush or something. Yeah, we'll do something. We'll figure something out. Let me get me another brush. A smaller one. I'm going to go ahead. Actually, you know what? I need well, I'll go ahead and do this, get you started. Because I think I'm going to put just a couple more skinny little trees up in here. Let me set this down. And I'm going to highlight. I hope my big head's not in your way. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this edge. I'm using pure white because it's mixing anyway. And I'm twisting my brush as I'm coming down to keep the paint flowing. Because if I don't, I'll run out of paint. Quick. Twisting my brush. Of course, this tree is going to have a lot more color than this, but this is a good starting point. Since I'm doing this, these rocks are really wet, but that's okay. Got to start somewhere. Yeah, right here. Got to start somewhere, don't we? Might as well throw some color in on them. Just for the fun of it. Find my other brush. The one I just had. Let's go ahead and put some color in this big tree. I'm probably going to take some ochre. So this tree's really wet, so, you know, I'll have to work on it a little bit off camera probably. When I say probably, I will. That's what I really mean. I'm just trying to show you, get the basics. That is really, really wet. It'll look fine time we get done with it. Some burnt sienna. I'm almost out of burnt sienna. Okay, I'm going to keep working on this, work on the rocks, and then I'll think about what I'm going to put right there. Alright, I went ahead and I put a few more little trees in here. This spot here I had rocks in. I wiped them off, didn't like it. Put 2 bushes in, didn't like them, wiped it off. So nothing else fails, go back to a pine tree. So that's what we got right there. That's just what you got to do sometimes. So I'm taking my liner brush. And this is probably the final thing that we do here. And I'm just making little branches. Just little branches. Just here and there. I don't want to overdo. Just something sticking out so it don't look lonely, you know, just standing there all by itself. And we just put 1 or 2 here and there. Put a few here and there is all you got to do. Get this a little better here. You got to be. Let's see. I mean, that's probably good right there. You don't want to overdo it. Make sure we got this good. Right here a little better. This. I think that looks all right. All right, guys, I think we'll call that a wrap. I think it turned out pretty good. I really like the composition of it. I think that's pretty nice. Hey, I just want to say anybody that's ever liked and subscribed or watched one of my videos, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.